Namaste, dear ones. I am making this video about parasites. And I'm doing this as I am just over halfway through a parasite cleanse, a 6-week cleanse. And I'm feeling called to share this now because I'm deep within it, and the realizations coming through, the deep experience that I'm having, the insights, seeing how this is rippling out into my family, into my environment, into the relationships around me, into how it's being reflected back into nature, just really observing what is happening right now is putting me firmly and deeply into this embodied knowing that this process of cleansing ourselves from parasites is itself as multi-dimensional as we are. And this has hit me so hard. And of course it makes sense. Why wouldn't it be? If we are this extraordinarily complex and powerful and interconnected, just words cannot describe the true nature of this multidimensional form. If that is what we are, then surely the parasites themselves are also multidimensional in nature and are also interacting and engaging with us on those other dimensions, the non-ordinary, the non-seen, the non-local, the non-physical dimensions. And as I speak this, I hold my beautiful swan feathers because excuse me, this also for me is a prayer. This is a command that I am, as part of the commands that I'm continuing to create and make and stand by to control isn't the right word, but to affect the control centers of this being, to influence and impact through my direct consciousness and my clear knowing, my clear command. I am commanding that these parasites on all levels, physical, energetic, in all realms, through all dimensions, through past lives, and through the ancestral line, that they all be cleared. This is a part of that. In sharing this with you, I am standing firm in this command, in these realizations, in this knowledge that is becoming wisdom, and in this command, because it's only through the most clear intention and prayer and commands that we make can these entities, beings that do not belong in our system, leave and either return back to where they came from or back to the light. And this in itself is a model that we can follow with working with anything that does not belong in our system, anything that isn't ours to begin with. This is the fundamental. Once we establish that, we can send it back to the light or send it back to where it came from, any external entities or anything that is from the ancestral line. But it's really important that we understand how to actually create the conditions in and around our form, our holographic form, because that is what we are. We are a multi-dimensional, supercharged human that exists in multi-dimensionals. And we need to understand how we stabilize this form in order to create the conditions so that these parasites can be pushed out, can be commanded out. And if we do this and we create these conditions, we enable a potential and possibility of these entities leaving our system without being harmed or without being killed. And just even on a practical, physical level, like that's so much better for us, because then our body doesn't have to deal with the waste metabolites of those, the physical aspect of those beings, and we don't then have to have another excess toxic load to deal with, and it just makes things much easier, especially for those of us who already have other things to be dealing with. We don't need an additional burden of toxicity for the liver and the organs to have to deal with. Now, how is it that these parasites even exist in multi-dimensions? This is an amazing question. This is something that I'm going to tell you I don't have all of the answers to. But what I do know is that they can come in through various means when we are not embodying our full light, when we are not radiating our full light and we don't have that protection, when the parts in our internal system are taking us over, which then impacts our natural protection. And they can come in via physical toxins, bacteria, by viruses, so many other ways, worms, all sorts of physical entities that I'm sure you've all heard about in the parasite cleanse world. At the moment, I'm dealing specifically with E. coli. And I've chosen not to go down a medical route where I take antibiotics and like kill these entities somehow and have that additional load on my body. I'm working with another medical and scientific modality where the medicines and the methods are creating the conditions to raise the frequency in the unified field of all of the cells in my body in order to push them out. And so really coming to terms with this physical, the physical beings themselves, the E. coli, has been really helpful to do those tests and to know on that dimension what I'm dealing with. But then dropping into the deeper consciousness, because now that I'm really working at this level, I'm going in and meeting them on a different level of consciousness. And I'm starting to understand how they work, how they are utilizing my own bodily functions and my nervous system to try and manipulate me into stopping the cleanse, making it really hard for me and really painful and distressing for me so that I stop it, so that they can stay and continue to feed off of me. And in this whole process of learning about this, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to begin to try and explain what I've learned and what I can see. What's going to come from this is going to be a whole new set of teachings and how to work to clear parasites from our system. Like there's a whole world of teaching and knowledge and everything that's going to come from this will be taught alongside my teacher Brooks Braun and Rube. But for now, what I want to pass on is just this little bit of awareness. One of the things that I recognized with people around me was that there was an initial fear from their system of, oh my God, that sounds really intense. I don't know if I can do that. And then once I started sharing this of like what the true nature of this is and how these parasites are actually existing as interdimensional psychic entities that are coming in via this physical but are actually existing in the astral in this way, but also that there are other parasites that are existing purely in that energetic form in those other dimensions that you start to see as you do this cleanse, because I'm starting to see all of them, right? the very sneaky ones that I've not been able to find as of yet. Very, 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 very sneaky, very, very hidden, very, very clever. And as I'm starting to really see this, and they see that I can see them, they know that their game is up. And I want to share this because maybe this opens up some, and this is a prayer, you know, as my wish is for this to open up some new dimension for us as humans and human consciousness to really understand that we are not, if we are living in a multi-dimensional holographic setup, get up, form within the forms within the forms, then we've got to start to think in a multi-dimensional way about these entities that are influencing, that are taking over, that are hijacking not just our bodies, but like our whole communities, our whole societies, like the whole planet, like as above, so below, right? Hermes Trismegistus, Thoth. As above, so below. And so below, as above, everything is mirrored at every single level. So what we let in at this micro level, the protection, the level of protection that we need, and that is also failing in order to let these things in, we can see, the invitation is to see how this relates to what's happening in that macro and external level. How are we as a humanity allowing ourselves to just be taken advantage of by these, you know, very strange, very often weird, many evil entities that are out there that are just very questionable and pretty damn evil. Like, how is it that, you know, what is it that we've done to allow our protection as an earth realm to come down and to let that in? And that's what's so fascinating. And from the bottom of my heart, you know, there's loving unconditionally this and everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the evil. There's unconditionally loving and being able to get to that point of cosmic consciousness and peace with all of it. Like, it is incredible. And having an unconditional love for it. But it doesn't mean we have to like it. It doesn't mean that we have to agree with it. It doesn't mean that we have to want to play with it. Okay, we're already kind of playing with it all anyway. There's a really clear distinction there. We can hold unconditional love for what is, and all of the darkness and all of the evil and all of the ugliness and all of the weirdness. We can hold that with unconditional love, as well as being like, yeah, but you know, that's something that I'm gonna stay away from. That's something that my parts don't really like. And that's something that I'm gonna hold at arm's length and do something about. And there's a lot of like spiritual new age stuff, especially with the non-dual traditions, where we've got to be really, really careful about how we're gaslighting ourselves and how we're confusing these teachings of non-duality. On the relative field is one story. The relative field is this manifest, seen world. Like, it is just what it is. It's the fucking thing. It's the stuff, right? But at the level of the absolute, which is the level of the unification, which is the level of the pure, just divine intelligence of all that is, and that we are a part of, we of course are a part of that unconditionally loving power that emanates, that is that creative intelligence. And we exist in both of these realms. That is what duality is. And non-duality for me is simply recognizing that ultimately we are one. We are whole and at one with the universe, whilst holding within that the love of duality, the love of not loving, the love of pain. Anyway, that's for another time. But I wanted to share this whole little into the world of parasites. They are multidimensional. We got to work with them. We got to rethink the way that we work with them, basically, I think is my main point. And I'm holding this prayer for all of you right now that are working to get closer to and understand and cleanse these pathogens, these entities that no longer need to reside in your system anymore. Take the teachings from them. What are they showing you about yourself, about your life, about the path that you're walking? What do they have to teach you? Take the lessons and bid them farewell. Because these parasitic entities, the really clever ones that are existing in those other dimensions, the ones that are there because of the physical entities. See, when we allow the physical entities to be there, it makes it easier for the other ones to be there. It simply does. You know, we've let our guard down. The physical toxicity, entities, pathogens in the body, that stuff just continues to maintain the electromagnetic injuries, it's like this cycle, it's like feeding this cycle of dark matter and stagnant energy and the non-functioning, the not proper functioning of our organs. Like all of this stuff is just keeping it going. And so our protection is down, our guard is down, and these other entities can get in. And a lot of the time they're coming through the ancestral realm. They were here from way back, from when we were children, or they're coming through with us from past lives. So we've got to rethink really how we even journey with this, how we navigate this, how we identify this. Okay, people, it's all I'm going to share for now. It's enough. Sending you all love and blessings and prayers for your health and your happiness and your abundance and your experience of life.